You know what nobody tells you about success? It's never a straight line. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it feels like you're just one step away from losing everything. That's exactly what happened to Barbara Corcoran. She started with nothing, literally a $1,000 loan from her boyfriend, and built it into a multi-million-dollar real estate empire. But then, that same boyfriend dumped her, married her secretary, and left her with nothing. Most people would have crumbled, but Barbara, she turned that betrayal into the best thing that ever happened to her. And that's why we're here today. Because Barbara Corcoran at 75 isn't just a business legend or a Shark Tank celebrity. She's a master of reinvention. She's figured out the secrets to success, happiness, and resilience. And today, we're breaking down her best life advice. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, what she's learned can change the way you see your own life. Let's start with the first thing she says made all the difference. Failure is the best thing that can happen to you, if you let it be. Now, that sounds strange, doesn't it? We spend our whole lives avoiding failure, doing everything we can to stay safe, to make the right decisions. But Barbara says the biggest breakthroughs in her life, personally, professionally, emotionally, came from her failures. Let's go back to that moment when her boyfriend kicked her out of the business. Imagine that. 7 years of work, gone. Most people were packed up, walked away, and let that story define them. But instead of seeing it as the end, Barbara decided it was just the beginning. She started her own real estate firm, the Corcoran Group, and it became one of the most successful real estate companies in the country. Why? Because she saw failure as a pivot point, not a dead end. Here's the truth. At any age, things will fall apart. Your plans won't work out. People will betray you. Health problems will slow you down. But how you react to those moments is what defines your future. Think about your own life for a second. What's a moment that felt like a dead end for you? Maybe it was a career loss, a relationship that ended, or a dream that didn't come true. Now ask yourself, did you let it define you, or did you use it as fuel? That's Barbara's lesson. When you fail, fail forward. Look for the opportunity in the setback, because there's always one. You just have to be willing to see it. And speaking of seeing things differently, this brings us to the next piece of wisdom that changed everything for Barbara. Forget about being perfect. Be real instead. Early in her career, she tried to be someone she wasn't. Fancy clothes, fancy air. Trying to fit into the world of successful people. And guess what? It didn't work. The second she stopped pretending, the second she embraced her rough around the edges, straight-talking, high-energy personality, people started paying attention. And this is something so many of us struggle with. We think we have to fit into some mold of what a successful or respectable person looks like. Maybe you've done it. 2. Held back your true personality because you thought people wouldn't take you seriously. Tried to be put together all the time. But here's what Barbara learned. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. So, here's a question for you. Where in your life are you holding back? Where are you pretending to be something you're not, just to fit in? Maybe it's in your friendships. Maybe it's in the way you present yourself. Maybe it's even in your own head, where you tell yourself you have to be a certain way to be accepted. Barbara's advice? Drop the act. Be yourself. Own your quirks. That's how you build real relationships, real success, and real happiness at any age. Now, let's talk about something that's going to challenge a lot of people watching this. Money won't make you happy. Freedom will. Barbara has made millions, but she's the first to tell you that money isn't what made her happy. When she was broke, working 23 different jobs before she figured out real estate, she was just as happy as she is today, because money isn't the real goal. Freedom is. Freedom to do what you love. Freedom to wake up excited about your day. Freedom to spend time with people who matter, not people who drain you. So many people chase money, think it will fix everything. But what happens when they get it? They're still stressed, still searching, still wondering why it doesn't feel as good as they thought it would. Barbara figured this out early. Happiness comes from how you spend your time, not how much is in your bank account. So ask yourself, what does freedom mean to you? Maybe it's the freedom to travel, to spend time with grandkids, to start a business, to wake up without obligations. Whatever it is, That's what you should be chasing. Because at the end of the day, it's not about having more. It's about having enough time, enough energy, enough purpose to live the life you actually want. Now, we've covered some big ideas so far. Turning failure into opportunity, embracing who you really are, and redefining success in terms of freedom. But we're just getting started. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to bounce back from anything, while others get stuck in the same old struggles? It's not about luck. It's not about talent. And according to Barbara Corcoran, it's definitely not about intelligence. It's about resilience, the ability to get knocked down and get right back up again. Barbara has seen it over and over again on Shark Tank, in business and in life. The people who make it aren't necessarily the smartest. They aren't the most talented. They aren't the ones with the perfect plan. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. She calls them jack-in-the-box people, the ones who keep popping back up no matter how many times they get hit. And this is huge, because if you think about your own life, you've probably had moments where you felt defeated, where you thought, that's it, I'm done. Maybe it was a financial setback. Maybe it was a personal betrayal. Maybe it was something that made you question whether you even had the energy to keep going. But here's what Barbara knows. The difference between success and failure is just getting back up one more time. She's seen it firsthand with the entrepreneurs she's invested in. The biggest successes weren't necessarily the ones with the best ideas. They were the ones who refused to quit when things got tough. And this applies to everything. Relationships, careers, even health. How many times have you tried something, whether it's a new hobby, a business idea, or a lifestyle change, only to give up after a setback? The truth is, most people give up way too soon. They hit one roadblock and assume it's the end of the road. But Barbara says that's when the real magic happens, when you push through. Think about a time in your life when you pushed past something difficult. Maybe you didn't want to keep going, but you did anyway. And when you got through it, didn't it feel like you had just unlocked a whole new level of confidence? That's what resilience does. It builds you. And speaking of confidence, that brings us to another lesson from Barbara that most people don't think about until it's too late. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. A lot of people think confidence is just a personality trait. Some people have it, and some people don't. But Barbara completely disagrees. She says confidence is like a muscle, and the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Here's what that means in real life. Every single time you do something that scares you, you're building confidence. Barbara was terrified when she started her real estate business. She had no experience, no roadmap, no guarantees. But she acted confident anyway. She picked up the phone, called potential clients, and pretended she belonged in the room, until eventually she did. And here's the part that might surprise you. Confidence isn't about never being afraid. It's about moving forward even when you are. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're scared to do right now? Maybe it's starting that side business you've been thinking about. Maybe it's traveling alone. Maybe it's speaking up more, trying something new, or stepping outside of your comfort zone. Whatever it is, I guarantee you this. The only way to get confident in that area is to take action, even if you don't feel ready. Barbara has a rule she lives by. If it makes you nervous, do it. Because every time you do, you're teaching yourself that you can handle more than you think. Now, this leads us to something that might be the most important lesson of all. Success at any age comes down to one thing: who you surround yourself with. Barbara is 75, and if you ask her why she still has so much energy, she'll tell you. It's because she surrounds herself with young people. Her staff is young. Her social circle is filled with people who are active, ambitious, and forward-thinking. And that keeps her sharp. Because the truth is, energy is contagious. If you're surrounded by people who are negative, who complain all the time, who have given up on life, it's going to drag you down too. But if you're around people who are excited, who are learning, who are growing, you'll feel that energy too. Think about it. Who do you spend the most time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Barbara's advice? If you want to feel younger, think younger. And if you want to think younger, be around people who are still excited about life. That doesn't mean you have to cut people out completely, but it does mean you should be intentional about who you let influence your mindset. Because at the end of the day, your future is shaped by the people you surround yourself with. And that brings us to something else Barbara has learned after 75 years on this planet. Something that a lot of people don't figure out until it's too late. You know what the hardest part of success is? Not quitting when things feel impossible. Barbara Corcoran knows this better than anyone. She's built an empire, invested in countless businesses, and mentored entrepreneurs who went from broke to millionaires. But the biggest reason she made it? She refused to give up, especially when things look hopeless. And that's what we're talking about now. How do you keep going when you feel stuck? When life knocks you down so hard you don't know if you can get back up, Barbara has a secret. It's something that has helped her every single time she's hit rock bottom. Ready for it? Take action before you feel ready. Most people wait until they feel confident before they make a move. They wait until they have the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect situation. And what happens? They never start. Barbara never did that. She started before she was ready. She didn't know how to run a business, but she did it anyway. She didn't know if she could bounce back from losing her company, but she did it anyway. And every time, action led to confidence, not the other way around. So, let's make this personal. What's something in your life that you've been waiting for the right time to do? Maybe it's changing careers. Maybe it's writing that book. Maybe it's picking up the phone and reconnecting with an old friend. Whatever it is, here's what Barbara would tell you. Stop waiting. Do it now, because waiting for confidence, that's a trap. The truth is, confidence comes from doing, not thinking about doing. And speaking of thinking too much, this next lesson is something that can change your entire life. Forget plan B. It's distracting you. Barbara has a rule: never have a backup plan. Sound crazy? Think about it. When you have a backup plan, it's like giving yourself permission to fail. It's a safety net, sure, but it also makes you less likely to go all in on what you really want. Barbara never had a plan B. She put everything into real estate. She didn't keep an exit strategy in her back pocket. And because of that, she had no choice but to make it work. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? Let me ask you this. What if you don't? What if, instead of splitting your focus between your dream and your backup plan, you gave 100% to what you really wanted? What if you went all in? Here's a truth that most people never accept. You succeed when you stop giving yourself ways to fail. If you have a passion, something you know deep down you're meant to do, commit to it fully, because the people who make it, they're the ones who refuse to give themselves an out. And that brings us to something even bigger. Regret is worse than failure. Barbara has taken a lot of risks in her life. Some worked out, some didn't. But the only thing she truly fears? Looking back and wondering, what if? And if you're watching this, maybe you know that feeling too. Maybe you've already had moments where you wish you'd taken a leap, spoken up, made a different choice. But here's the good news. You can still decide to live without regret. Right now, it's not too late to take the chances you were afraid to take. It's not too late to reinvent yourself. It's not too late to start fresh, to learn, to grow, to build something incredible. Barbara started her business in her 20s, but she's still building new things at 75. She hasn't stopped dreaming. She hasn't stopped taking risks. And neither should you, because if there's one thing she's learned after 75 years, it's this: the only real failure is not trying. And that's what we'll talk about next: how to stop waiting, stop doubting, and start living life fully right now. So here's the big question: what's stopping you? If you've been watching this and feeling something stirring inside, maybe excitement, maybe fear, maybe regret, whatever it is, don't ignore it. That feeling, that's your gut telling you it's time to move. Barbara Corcoran never let fear stop her. She never let age stop her. And she sure as hell never let failure stop her, because she knows something most people don't. Every day you wait is a day you don't get back. That's why her final piece of advice is this: live like you don't have a second chance. Most people walk through life like they have all the time in the world. They put off their dreams. They put off the hard conversations. They put off making changes. But the truth? Time is the one thing you never get more of. That's why Barbara lives her life full speed ahead. She doesn't dwell on regrets. She doesn't waste time worrying about things she can't change. She focuses on what she can do today. And that's exactly what you should be doing, too. Think about this. If you knew you only had a few years left, how would you live? Would you still hold yourself back? Would you still let fear win? Would you still keep waiting for the right time? Or would you finally do the things you've been putting off? Barbara doesn't wait, and you don't have to either. So let's break this down into something simple, something you can act on today. Step 1, stop overthinking. Right now, make a decision. One thing you've been waiting to do. It could be starting a new project, reaching out to someone, or finally putting yourself out there in a way you never have before. Whatever it is, decide to do it today. Step 2, take action before you feel ready. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create by taking action. Do one small thing today that moves you forward, even if it scares you. Step 3, surround yourself with people who make you better. Find people who are excited about life, people who challenge you, people who make you feel alive. Barbara built her life by choosing the right people to be around, so choose wisely. And finally, step 4, refuse to settle. You are never too old to change. You are never too late to start over. The only way you lose is by standing still. Barbara Corcoran built an empire from nothing. She turned failure into success. She's 75, still learning, still growing, still pushing forward. If she can do it, so can you. So here's what I want you to do next. Drop a comment below. What's the one thing you're committing to today? What's the thing you're gonna stop waiting on? I want to hear it. And if this video spoke to you, hit the like button. Subscribe for more content like this, because this isn't just about success. This is about living life on your terms. Here's to living boldly, without regrets, and without waiting. Because if Barbara's taught us anything, it's this: your best years aren't behind you. They're still ahead.